And we're live. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to our TNT Update webinar, where we cover the subject of transitioning your club to the new TNT. My name is Missy. I work at Awana headquarters with the program team staff, and I'm glad to kick off the afternoon with you all today. If you are tuning in live to our webinar, awesome. Thank you so much for meeting us in the middle of your workday. So you know we're going to be doing this webinar, since it's such a lengthy subject, in 2 different episodes. So we're going to have the second episode next week at 2 p.m., which is Wednesday the 27th at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And there, in our second half of this transition webinar series, we will answer and respond to any of your questions. So if you happen to watch this later on this evening or throughout next week, and have some questions for us that you'd like to address, please email us at awana.org, ttupdate@awana.org. I'm going to give you the appropriate address. We would be glad to respond to you live in that webinar. Also, feel free to join us at that time, and we'd love to chat with you. We'd love to engage. All right, we've got Chris Marchand here. He's got some wonderful instructions on a subject that I know is #1 for all of you existing TNT leaders out there. So without any further ado, here's Chris. Hi there, Chris. Thanks so much for sharing with us today.
Hey, everybody. Just want to reiterate those thoughts, and just thanks for taking time out of your day to sit around and chat with us about TNT transition. Really hope that this 2-part series that we've put together can help answer some of the questions that have been coming in, and just help give you a good idea of how to transition your club, and really just to prepare as best as you can for the update that's coming. And really just kick it off here, some of the things that we're going to be talking about a little bit today are just, one, understanding the new structure of the TNT program, as well as getting into the release schedule of the full TNT program, and then really it's I just want to share our recommendations on how to implement this structure. So we are going to be getting into some technical parts. The beauty of this is that these webinars are recorded. You can watch them later. So necessarily if you miss something, these are all going to be cataloged and recorded for you, I believe, on our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do that at the closing of the webinar. But if there's something here that you wanted to look at and focus on a bit more, you'll have the opportunity to go through every one of these videos and be able to pause, stop, rewind, and take a bit more time looking at that particular detail. And then really one of the big issues that we're going to talk about, that we're going to close with, is how do I run TNT if we have 3rd through 6th graders all together in one group, and we're going to get to that towards the end of our time with the transition webinar. Okay. So let's talk about the new structure, because probably you're not thinking about necessarily this right now. I mean, it's probably in the back of your mind. Right now, if you're anything like me, I'm thinking about awards, because my club is closing out. I believe we have 2 weeks left. So even tonight, we're going to have a whole lot of kids trying to say verses to close out club, and then next week we have our awards program. But as we start thinking toward the fall and the fact that this update is coming, there's a lot of things to consider with the new update, and there may be factors in your particular ministry context that we are not aware of. We just want you to know, as we provide these suggestions, that obviously we can't be in multiple places at one time, so there may be unique things that relate to your unique ministry context. I would just encourage you that if you have those specific questions, give us a buzz. You can email us and connect with us on Twitter, and we'd be more than happy to be able to answer those questions that pertain to your unique ministry context. But in what we're including in the webinar, these are topics that we wanted to keep it as general as possible to be able to share these transition topics to cover as wide of a base as possible. So in the end, we encourage you that since you know what your ministry and you know it's best to deploy whatever strategy is going to help you serve kids, family, and leaders best. But all right, let's talk about the new really understanding the new structure of TNT. The new TNT curriculum does suggest a new structure. Before, kids in the past, in the old structure, and obviously if you're familiar with TNT, you understand this, is that when they came into the program as a third grader, we handed them a handbook, and then they progressed at their own pace throughout the program. So we have 4 handbooks, and they could just go to their heart's content throughout the program, finish a book, start a new one, and really progress at their own pace. The classic TNT structure provides for 4 books that would suggest one book, and again, it's suggest a book a year for the 4-year breakdown of the 3rd through 6th grade program. So now, with the new TNT curriculum, while a child or a student is still free to progress through the new handbooks at their own pace, the new update of the curriculum was designed with the all-together method in mind. So this may be a new phrase to you, especially if you haven't tuned into any of our recent webinars. The all-together method particularly relates to the instructional, the teaching content and topics that the kids are going to experience and the leaders are going to deliver from week to week. We have not said that they can only memorize 1 verse a week. Nowhere in any of our material does it say that. I know that that's a topic and that's a question that's come up over and over again. People have been asking me, does all-together method mean that I have to limit kids to only memorizing 1 verse a week or completing only 1 section a week? Absolutely not. If they want to take this new handbook and go straight on through it, awesome. Complete it in a week, that's amazing. However, from week to week, as they bring that handbook and as they bring those verses that they've memorized and those activities that they've completed in the book and the Bible studies that they've completed in the Explore section, they're going to be bringing that every single week. And as a group, together from week to week, we're going to be focusing on 1 topic at a time as we progress through the full 32 weeks of curriculum. So I hope that clarifies up that particular point, but part of the benefit here in using this method as a group to really process and engage and learn together with these topics from week to week is it helps reinforce the verses. It helps build out a broader context for the verses that they're memorizing. And it also just gives a huge amount of value as the group learns together from week to week to week. So again, their achievement is still totally on their own. If they want to progress through the entire book, I'd say, have at it. However, as a group, as they learn together in that small group and large group time, we are going to be focusing on 1 particular topic each week. So now, as we talk about and understand the new structure of TNT, our best suggestion, and I just want to rephrase that, reiterate that again, our best suggestion for integrating the new TNT is by establishing an A-B yearly rotation model in your program. In this model, 3rd through 4th graders would work together through Book A, which is going to be the Mission, Grace, and Action book that's going to be available for this coming fall ministry season. So they would work through that A book and then the B book the following year. So again, we're putting 3rd and 4th graders into this A-B rotation. So some of you may be familiar because you do this already in another aspect of your Awana ministry, but that A-B rotation is going to be important as we talk through the structure and the different features and keeping everybody on track as we move forward. Some of you have written in and asked about the release schedule of, okay, you're telling me that Mission, Grace, and Action, which is the Ultimate Adventure 1 equivalent in terms of the line that it's being replaced in, that's going to be available for the fall 2016. I believe our on-shelf date is actually July 1, so it'll be available for purchase July 1. But it's going to be ready for the ministry cycle of fall 2016. Really, and for the next 3 years after, we're going to be releasing the corresponding equivalent. I don't have titles to tell you at this point because we're still working through that. But fall 2017, we're going to be releasing our next book, which is the Ultimate Adventure 2 equivalent. The fall 2018, we're going to be releasing our third book, which is Ultimate Challenge 1 equivalent, and then fall 2019, we're going to be releasing Ultimate Challenge 2 equivalent. Again, those titles are still working titles, and when we have that information, be more than happy to share that with you. But that's our release schedule going all the way to 2019, starting with fall 2016. All right, let's using the recommended A/B rotation model. I just want to take you through some scenarios of how you would implement this new structure in your TNT club. So let's talk 2016, 2017. That's this fall coming up. Again, it would be an A year, and then three points to kind of help decide for you. Again, these are suggestions that you can take and use in terms of your planning. But three recommendations that I would make here. First of all, as we talk about structure and transition, who does the new to whom does the new update apply? And these what I would say are 3 guiding principles to help you. Number 1, all 3rd and 4th graders, all new 3rd and 4th graders. Obviously 3rd graders are new, but I would just say all 3rd graders and new 4th graders will begin the new Mission, Grace, and Action curriculum. Hands down. So if you have your upcoming 3rd graders, they are already going to be using the new updated materials. New 4th graders. So if they, either they're new to club or they're just new to your TNT program as 4th graders, they're going to be put into the new curriculum. Now, so what about everybody else? Existing 4th, 5th, and 6th graders will continue to complete the program as they first received it. So if you have kids, because we have gotten a couple of questions where I say, I got a 4th grader who's like halfway through their book. Do I tell them to, essentially, what they did doesn't matter anymore and just hop on the new stuff? And honestly, I think this is a decision that you need to make. But my heart would be that if I have a kid who's already worked, well over halfway into a book, have them complete the program as they first received it. I think that's going to be most beneficial to them. Plus, you also don't have to go back and have them kind of start from scratch, and I just don't think it's going to really help their motivation moving forward. So that's why we're saying existing 4th, 5th, and 6th graders will continue to complete the program as they first received it. And then 3rd guiding principle for this coming year is that 5th and 6th grade will continue to complete the existing Ultimate Challenge program. So really, in terms of who does this update apply to, it really doesn't apply to your 5th and 6th grade kid, because they're just going to continue to complete the Ultimate Challenge program as they first received it, as well as your 4th graders. This update is going to focus on your new and coming, the 3rd graders are going to be coming into your program, and new 4th graders that are going to arrive in your TNT program. So again, that's just a recap of guidelines to help you frame in, hey, how do I handle transition? What do I do to get my club ready for the update of the new TNT program? Now, let's talk a year later. So this year coming is past. Now 2017, 2018, club year B. It's going to be not club year, but it's going to be club year and year B. 2 guiding principles here to help you out. First of all 3rd and 4th graders will be using the new, again, we don't have specific titles here, but it's going to be the next book that we're going to release. It's going to be the Ultimate Adventure 2 equivalent handbook, and that'll be released in 2017. So again, thinking 2 years out, all my 3rd and 4th graders are going to be using that new Ultimate Adventure 2 equivalent handbook. Existing 5th and 6th graders will continue to complete the existing Ultimate Challenge program. So again, it's going to be a B year. At that point, I'm going to have all of my, what were my 3rd graders, they're now 4th graders, and now my incoming 3rd graders are all going to be on that B book for 2017, 2018. Looking at our year 3, 2018, 2019, we're going to shift back to an A year. And again, 3 guiding principles here is that all 3rd and 4th graders by that point will be shifting back to using the Mission, Grace, and Action handbook. All 5th graders, now here's a change here, all 5th graders will be using the new Ultimate Challenge 1 equivalent, which is going to be the 3rd handbook that we're going to release in our update series. And then the 3rd guiding principle for that 2018-2019 year is that 6th graders will complete the existing Ultimate Challenge program as they first received it. Now, looking at 2019, then 2019-2020, here things start to get a little bit easier, start to not have so many kids on necessarily different programs. It's going to be a B year, and 2 guiding principles that we're going to recommend here is that one, all 3rd and 4th graders will be using the new Ultimate Adventure 1 Ultimate Adventure 2 equivalent, and then 5th and 6th graders will be using the new Ultimate Challenge 2 equivalent, the 4th handbook that we're going to release in the update series. So again, if you want to look at this more on your own, we are in the process of finalizing a document that we will be posting and sending out soon with this schedule in place so that you can have a better understanding and also reference that back as you begin to plan and talk about and think about transition for the fall. So, but one of the things we wanted to just spend some time in here together, because it's a question that's been asked. And again, this is going to be in the document as well, but one of the questions is, how do I run TNT if we have 3rd through 6th graders all together in one group? I think a lot of this is talking about clubs that are of a smaller size. So if you would not consider yourself to be a small club, then again, we're going to be talking more about what to do with like medium and larger size clubs in our next webinar as part 2 of this series. But for the remainder of our time, I just want to talk through what do we do for the fact that how do I run this new TNT if I have 3rd through 6th grade all together as one group? Because the reality is that some of you, this may be the case. You have a TNT program and it's literally 5 kids spread through 3rd through 6th grade. What are you going to do? How are you going to best serve them? Let me give you some guiding principles here that I think are going to help you. All right, in terms of handbooks, let's talk about handbooks. Again, going back to that schedule that I just mentioned, we're recommending starting all 3rd graders and any new 4th graders in the new TNT Mission, Grace, and Action curriculum that's going to be released this fall. Returning 4th, 5th, and 6th graders should continue on in whatever handbook they were working in or started on the previous year and complete the program as they first received it. So in terms of handbooks, you're asking the question, okay, who do I put in this? Who do I put in this program? In the new update. That would be our recommendation, just guiding principles for you for guiding principles to help you make as best decision as possible looking toward this fall. Let's talk about Fast Track. Designate 10 to 15 minutes. Either before TNT starts or during TNT each week that is exclusively designated to handbook sign-off. If you're unfamiliar with our the concept of Fast Track, we do talk about that in a previous webinar, but part of the inclusion of the Fast Track component is that it makes signing off the handbook and saying the memory verses able to happen so that we build in more time later for us to actually, or for you, the leaders, to actually have time talking and engaging and dialoguing with your kids in a small group during small group time. So again, it allows the small group time to focus on relationship building between leaders and kids, allows for discipleship to happen. We recommend 1 leader per 5 kids to keep Fast Track running smoothly and efficiently. I just want to stop here for just 1 second and talk about 2 things, because we've had some questions come in to say, hi, I'm not sure we're going to do that because it's more leaders. And I just want to mention just 2 things that I saw when we got to visit some field test locations. We found one just shocked me completely was for a church to include Fast Track. They had a lot of senior saints that really all they want to do is come and listen to kids say verses. So they built their Fast Track time in, and this whole wall was lined with senior saints who just all they wanted to do was come and help sign off sections during Fast Track time, and I think it worked really well. It also created just a touch point between, to be able to have generations span and cross each other and just have an impact in the life of a child. So if you're kind of on the fence about Fast Track, I would just encourage you to think through that there are options of things that you can do to deploy Fast Track in your club. There are potentially untapped sources of people that you can invite to be a part of your ministry. So I just give credit. I just thought that was awesome just to see, not necessarily going to the same well for the same group of people, but this particular club tapped into a group of people who weren't necessarily involved in their Awana ministry, brought them in, gave them purpose, and when Fast Track was done, they were done too, which I think worked out for them in the end as well. And then the other was to get parents involved. I know for some of us sometimes I know my club, we do have a lot of drop-off that happens, and we do have parents that are involved and some parents that aren't. But I also know that parents are busy and maybe they can't commit to the full night, but they're already there, they're already dropping their kids off, just to be able to say, hey, could you stay for like 10-15 minutes and help us do this component of club, and then once that's over, you're released, you're gone. I think it could be a great way to get some more parents engaged and involved in your particular club. So I just want to share those two things about Fast Track. So, okay, large group time. And this is where a lot of questions that have been asked are coming into play. So again, we're talking about what do I do if I have 3rd through 6th grade all together in one group. Give you two options here of what you could do. Option 1, you can run large group time using the new Mission Grace in Action large group lessons. That's option 1. Now option 2, if you're running one large group time across 4 grade levels and that proves challenging, but you're short on space and leaders, consider splitting the group between 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th grades and have 2 smaller large groups in the same room with a leader facilitating each group. That is something that you could consider as a second option to do at that point if you wanted to keep both of your groups just targeted on the particular material. So again, option 1, run one large group time and everybody is going to be using the new Mission Grace in Action large group lessons. Or again, you could do it a different way, and then the second option would be to have 2 smaller large groups, have your 3rd and 4th graders in one, 5th and 6th graders in one. Again, if you're limited in space, there is a possibility that both of these groups could exist in the same room. Personally, if it were up to me, if you could split them up and have them in dedicated spaces, that would work well too. But again, I think this is more of an issue that relates directly to clubs of a smaller size. So, and also just want to mention too that that you refer, once you have the large group guide in your possession, to refer to it, and you can see this in our sample, that we've given you information on how to build 15, 20, 25-minute lessons to accommodate your large group. So if you want to scale it for a specific amount of time, we've given you some tips and some hints of what you could do with the material to scale it for a specific designated amount of time. So there are some 2 options just to be able to give you some ideas of how to deploy a large group with a smaller group of kids, 3rd through 6th grade all together. All right, let's talk about small group here. And again, we're keeping this in the context of a smaller group, 3rd through 6th grade together. You can run 1 or 2 small groups or more. Or you could run 1 or 2 small groups of 5 kids each using the new Mission Grace in Action handbooks. Continue running traditional handbook time for the kids using other handbooks. If space and numbers of leaders an issue, consider keeping the small groups in one room. But best practices, I would say, because I did see this in one field test site where they had like 6 groups in about the size of one elementary school classroom, and you just couldn't hear anything that was going on in the room. I think if you are going to work through space issues with your particular group, definitely put some thought into just the dynamics of what your particular environment does to the small group dynamics. Because again, like I said, we had just a massive amount of groups all in one room. These were boys, they were loud, nobody could hear anybody, and at a certain point, if kids can't tune in to what you're saying, they just go off into la la land. And and unfortunately, there were some kids that just were checked out around the room. That's why I think space is so important. So if your space and numbers are an issue, consider keeping them in one room, but still run 2 or more small groups and find that space and work out those space issues. But again, going back, you can run 1 or 2 small groups. One small group, have everybody in the Mission Grace in Action handbooks, and then the other you can continue running traditional handbook time for those kids, those existing 4th, 5th, and 6th graders who are running through their handbooks. So you're either going to have everybody all together in the new, or you're going to splice it out and do 2, have all of your new 3rd and 4th graders using the Mission Grace in Action handbook, and have all of your existing kids complete the program as they first received it in a separate small group. So that's a little bit of where we want to pause for our time here today, is just to talk a little bit about what do I do to help think through, okay, help me with the schedule, help me understand the structure of the new TNT program, and then how do I best deploy this update for a group we're talking like it's a smaller group, 3rd through 6th grade all together. That you don't necessarily have enough kids to be able to splice it out and split it up any further. In part 2, we're going to get into more issues related to kind of like a medium-sized group, and then what do you do if you just have a large group of kids, and be able to talk through just some options similar to what we've done today on how best to deploy this update in that particular group. Again, if you have any questions, if you have things that you want to ask, please do not hesitate to get in contact with us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are in terms of transitioning. And again, we will respond to those as timely as we possibly can. Just wanted to thank you guys for hanging out with us here today. I know this is in the middle of the day. Again, if you watch it later, you have the option to be able to pause, rewind, fast forward, whatever you need to do. But again, I just want to thank you for the time that you've taken to spend with us. Thank you for the opportunity that we have to share these helpful tips and concepts with you. And just again, I just want to just express my thanks and just thank you for what you're doing to reach kids with the gospel. My team and I, we just continue to be excited, and just even this morning we were just talking about the potential of how this update and what it has to impact the kingdom for the cause of Christ. And I just thank you so much for partnering with us, for working with kids, for seeing kids for who they are, and knowing that they are very special in the eyes of our Lord. And so I just thank you for that. Hope you have a great day. Going to turn it over to Missy right now. Thanks so much for being a part of today.
Oh, man, thank you. That was awesome, Chris. Thank you so much. I know a lot of our leaders are going to tune in later on this week, watch this later, and are going to be thrilled to have this information. It's just, you've been a fantastic guide through all of this, Chris, so I can't tell you enough how excited I am to hear from leaders and just hear about the success of the program as well, and how it's going to serve our TNT kids out there. Again, I just want to reiterate to the point that everything that you heard today from Chris is all going to be available in an outline for you. Say the videos are great, but I'm not an auditory learner. I'd really love to see this information laid out for me. This will all be available, the whole outline, including recommendations for clubs by size or by structure, current structure, and that will all be available by the first week of May at awana.org/TT update. And one more time, if you've got questions, you've watched this later on today or throughout the week, and you'd like to be a part of our webinar next week, you can do so as an absentee, even if you can't make it at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, by emailing us at ttupdate@awana.org. We will be recording your questions that you have in regards to transitioning your club to the new TNT, and we'll be responding to those next week. Again, thanks for those that were able to show up. I see that we have some viewers, so that's very encouraging. Thank you so much for taking the time out to spend with us, and I cannot wait to tune in again next week. And thank you again, Chris, for your fantastic leadership here. I guess this is where we say over and out. Good afternoon and good night.